For histology, we're going to try something new. Instead of just having you guys look at the pictures for 30 seconds and then saying, okay, you have a test on it in 2 weeks, I'm going to have you guys do projects where you're actually spending some time using your own photos and editing them and playing with them so you actually get a feel for it. For the first few, I've planned time in labs where you can have it. I'm not sure how that's going to work in the later half of the class when the labs are really compacted. So you might have to do some of this at home. So this is part 1, and I downloaded the template. I want you to follow the template. I also want to point out there's a rubric. This is how I'm grading you. Proper cropping of photos. I intentionally took some really cruddy photos really fast, like spending 2 seconds to take the photo, because I know that's how some of your photos turned out. So not black, power's proper power. I gave you a different power for lab 2, so we'll just go with that. Using the correct photos. You put the correct photo. So if it says longitudinal skeletal muscle, it needs to be longitudinal, not cross-section. So the photo should look like the book. And your own photo, not the photo of somebody else. So in the labs I graded over the weekend, I saw the same photos several times, 4 times in fact. And it was a couple different groups that did it. So I'm not going to call anybody out in class, and a couple people I didn't even comment on. Then correct labels, and I'm going to show you how to do labels several ways. So on this document, black you don't touch, red is where you change things. And I didn't lock anything, so you actually could accidentally change this. And you're saving this for last. Of all the slides we look at, we're going to look at, I believe for the first one, 14 or 13. What one you thought looked coolest, and save that one for last, because this is your title page. And then we have chapters, lab 2, lab 3, lab 4, so tissue types, epithelial tissue, and connective tissue. And if you actually click on these, it should take you to them. So, in red, I tell you what to do. Insert picture of simple cuboidal epithelial. The year I'm making the video for, you guys actually looked at it under scanning, because I thought it was scanning. So, put it under low power and just label it. Now, you can label it from your phones. That's what a lot of you did. Or you could label it on your computer. But I want to show you what I mean by cropping as well. And I intentionally took some cruddy photos. This one, this one, this one. Because they need to be cropped, and I'm going to show you that this photo I probably should even go in and retake. So it opened it in the default editor on this computer. If I put it on my PC, there is a PC default editor. Unfortunately, my PC wants to go to an actual art program, so I'm not going to show you on my PC. Now this, I want to point out a couple things. These little things right here, we'll call them meatballs because one of my physiology students called them meatballs last semester. I'm like, I like that name. Problem, I really don't see anything, and I have a lot of dead space. So if this was me actually, I would just say, nope, I'm not going to use this picture at all. I'm going to retake it. Now let's see if this picture is solvable. I'm going to actually click on this. And see here, I have this box. I want like this area in here where I have my lumens. So I'm going to just do this. And I am going to crop it. So see this tool, that's crop. And it's still not that great. So here are the lumens right here. I can't really see any cells. So I could then label this if I really want to use it. Simple. Simple cuboidal epithelial. And I move that over here. I then zoom out. I copy the whole thing and put it over into my Word document, just copying it. Now, I personally do not like this photo, so I would probably go back and get a better example where I could see clearer lumen and clearer cells. Now, before I go on to the high power one, I want to show you this picture. Sorry about all the dirt on here. my microscope lives next to a saw. See how this one you could see the lumens clear, you could see their cell borders, I can even see some nuclei. And the difference between this picture and the previous one, oops, was that I zoomed in with my phone to take this picture. This is the high power picture. Again, my slide was very dirty, but this is basically what we want. And as you can see, I don't have any of the microscope. I basically zoomed in, and that's what I want you aiming for. So to copy it, now for this picture, I want you to label the lumen, which is this right here, and the cuboidal cells. I don't see a basement membrane. There might be one right there. I'm not sold that's a basement membrane. That's part of the basement membrane too. So what I would do on this one is I would just label it. You don't even need to crop it. And again, to label it, I select that. I go over here and I select text and I do lumen. And I can't see that color, so I will go and select another color. And I messed up there. I did a background color, so white at the background. So there's the lumen. Now, you can see right here, I accidentally hit text again while I was doing this. So I need cuboidal epithelium. So I will type that in. A little bit trouble seeing that, so I'm going to select a background color. I'm going to select it again. I need to point to the cell, so I'll come over to shape, and here's my pointer. And that is quite a large line right there. And I just move it, and there's the cuboidal epithelial cells. And again, this is your first chance of doing this, so I'll accept it not being perfect. So lastly, you are going to copy it, so Control C or Command C. And see here, this was so big that I have to put it on the next page. That's okay. And ta-da, and I could delete some lines here, some space there. And I could actually crop this inside here. I don't need all of that dead space. So I could go up here, I can go to Format and Crop. So I click on Crop, and I move this up, delete this dead space. And this picture, I'm gonna grab the handles and make it a little bit smaller. And it still doesn't want to go in. So I could spend probably 5 minutes fussing with this. Trust me, I've done that. I do not have the same areolar slide as you. So muscle tissue, same thing. Insert a muscle. Now see here how that's going to go onto the next page. I probably want to start it on the next page. And same thing, I intentionally did a horrible picture. Oh my goodness, it's blurry, out of focus. Now if this is the case of your picture, I want you to redo it. Just, it's not good enough. This is like a project I want you to be proud of, not just I have to do it. So even if I crop this, it's going to look horrible. So we would need a better picture. But I want to say one more thing about the skeletal muscle, is that it should look like this. See how they're longitudinal? It says longitudinal section, not cross section. Several of you gave me the cross section. So basically, your picture should be matching the lab book. So see lumen here. This is photoshopped. Also, I took the time to make sure it was in focus. Same thing, I made sure it was in focus. So that is your first attempt. Now you're going to continue this for lab 3. So I want the pictures to sort of match what I have. So here's the lumen. Here are the squamosal cells. So it should look something like that. There's our cuboidal epithelial. So if your picture is like mine, again, I basically clicked on the first thing. I didn't play with anything. See how much nice and more clear. So try to make it more clear this time, because I do want to see some improvement there. So basically, your pictures should sort of match these. So see how they're cropped, that I have the description, what they are. So they don't have to be these pictures like this that are all black is what I am saying. So in closing, look at the lab book pictures, make sure your pictures match them. Make sure you look at the rubric. Correct photos And correct labels is 20 points of the 25 points this is worth. So you should get all 20 points there, and you should get the full 5 points there too. So if you have any questions, please email me. Thank you.